Hey guys, what's going on? Mouse here and welcome to another Guild Boss video. But this time around, it's gonna be different. I'm just gonna share with you guys what I found out, the things that I tested with regards to Gina and her performance in the Guild Boss. So I tested a couple of things and lineup and setup and compared it with the more standard lineup that we were using with Alicia. So the objective of my tests were to just gauge where Gina is right now as a hybrid support specifically. So I did the hybrid support here. I'm gonna show you guys the setup later, specifically for Mirei Amamiya. And I haven't got the chance to do the full fire team yet, but it's kinda I feel like it's not gonna be good. I just did a quick test, so I prioritize this one because I feel like this one's gonna be better, but I'm gonna do that as well. I'm gonna show you guys what I will find out. Okay, so a couple of things before we begin. This test is just gonna be like for my account. This only applies to my account. This will not show any runs as well because I really played a lot of attempts here, and I just took the successful attempts that I had where nothing weird happened. But I'm gonna show you the stats and share with you the methods that I used. I just followed the same routine I'm doing in all of my videos. Those things that I've shared, I still do that so that we can get like a consistent pattern using the ultimate. This test is unfair. It's not 100% balanced. Although I tried my best to keep the stats close, that would not be possible, and I have to do different setups that I believe are more optimal. Still, hopefully I'm gonna be able to share you some ideas that you can use your lineup. Again, our goal here is just to gauge. We're not saying this one's better, this thing's better, because those things are highly situational, and with the implementation of the course, things get even more complicated right now. So to keep things consistent, I also removed the course. I'm not going to be using the course here, but that will certainly change how each of them will perform. So this is basically just me. This is not a guide by any means. This is just me sharing my thoughts on my own experience, something that might work for you, something that might not work for you. That would depend on a lot of things. All right, so first things first, before we go to team number 1, we have Gina team, Alicia team. We also tested Gina without weapon. We also tested Jinchul. I'm gonna show you the results, okay? And just real quick, guys, we have new codes here with 1000 essence stones for our supporters. So if you still need these codes, or if you just want to support me and help me out in content creation, feel free to support me here in the SLA Content Creator Program. I'm gonna put the link in the description as well as in the pinned comments probably. So yeah, thanks so much again for all the support. Alright guys, for team number 1, everything here is pretty standard except for team B and team C because we are testing Gina right now. So let me just show you Jinwoo's stats real quick. This is still the standard support build Jinwoo for Guild Boss. For the team A, pretty standard. This is probably one of the most, if not the most powerful team right now to put in team A to work with the support build Jinwoo. And for team B, we added Gina here. So the reason we added Gina here is that we are trying to take advantage of her weapon, which gives mana whenever she casts the mana circulation after getting 5 counter current stacks. So this one also gives a bit of attack percent, which kind of helps a bit. And then we're also looking to get more buffs from her mana circulation with 15% attack. Power gauge might help, though I'm not sure if that's gonna be a game changer. And then for A1, we're getting damage increase plus the A2 as well for damage dealt increase. So basically that's gonna be it for Gina's contribution to the team. So let me just show you the stats here. Crit damage, crit rate, and attack is quite decent, and damage increase is 19% with fire damage 7.75%. So the way I built Gina here is a hybrid with the Guardian set, because the Guardian set will still give more net damage because it's gonna buff her, it's gonna buff Hansumi, it's gonna buff Mirei Amamiya most importantly, because if you use cursed here, then we're gonna get a bit more damage on Gina, but I don't think that's gonna be worth it. And then for the accessories, we are using the expert set. So this expert set is actually not the best ones that I have. As you can see, my bracelet is still level 50, so there definitely is a lot of improvement that can be made here. And so the reason why I chose expert set here is that I switched back my Hansemi's accessories to Sylph's Blessings. And then if you watch my previous optimization where we were already using the V reset to solve the mana problems of the team, especially Mirei as well as Alicia. Let me just show you the stats here for some of these. Let's just start with Team A. Grid set, still standard. Here, there you go. My Chahe in is 25.4k. Hansemi, 39k HP. Of Mirei here with 24.6k attack. So one thing to take note of here is that it's possible that Maelin Fisher's weapon buff might go to Mirei Amamiya right now. So usually it's gonna go to Chahe, and the reason is, of course, Maelin Fisher buffs the team with attack percent, and my Chahe-in has a better advancements. So the dancer will have a stacking attack percent here with 8% each. But Mirei Amamiya has that attack percent passives as well, plus the buffs here. And since we added Gina right now, which also gives attack percent to the team, then that might change things a bit. Okay, depending on who has the buff probably, but I'm not sure. So just letting you guys know, just giving you that extra information to help you guys decide on how to balance the stats of each unit in your team. This is like an independent team. Means ult is still gonna go to Chahe-in, of course. Chahe-in has the highest total power. And I'm using this Guardian set and Sylph here for Min. And then for Choi Jong-in, we are now using 8-piece curse set. And the reason we can do this is we're not gonna have to buff anyone here actually. I can do the Sylph's Blessings, but I think I would need at least a good stats, but I don't have that. And there's really nothing else that I will be able to use. And my Choi is still A4. Probably if he becomes A5, then he might be able to deal a considerable amount of damage. And my skill levels are just here. So let me just show you the stats. For my Libora, here's the stats. There you go. So that's the setup of team number 1. So for team number 2, I just went back to my original setup of Viri on Hansemi, and then Choi Jong-in with Guardian and the Sylph's Blessings. And here's the new stats for my Alicia. This is almost 22k attack, crit damage here, and then there you go. So this is the standard build or standard lineup that we're using here. Alright, so for team number 1, here are the results. The highest that I got was 4.793 billion, which is rage count 12 already. I also have another rage count here on my 5th run, which is 4.754. Let's go about this one by one. First, we can observe that our Chahe-in's damage is like almost consistent, around 1.6 to 1.7 billion. And for our Mirei Amamiya, it's 1.4 billion, 1.3, 1.3, 1.287, and 1.4 billion. So it's, in comparison to what we were doing before, this is certainly very, very high. Because in the Alicia runs, it's just somewhere around 1 billion, just to show you this real quick. So meaning in terms of affecting the team with a specific setup that I showed you, then Gina certainly had an effect compared to the previous one where we use Choi. Of course, Choi doesn't provide any buffs to the party anyway. And for our Gogunhee, it's somewhere around 800 to 900 between that, and we have a low score here, actually 779 million. So these damage differences are still normal, and RNG, things like those, so but they are still close to each other. I believe this one, for example, in the 5th run, we have 4.754 billion, and we got 1.4 billion on Mirei Amamiya. So maybe if I got another 100 million luckily from Gogunhee, then I would reach 4.8 billion. So there is an RNG factor as well here. So for our Libora, like pretty consistent, 300 million, close to that. Now let's talk about Gina's damage here. So Gina's using Guardian set, of course, plus 4-piece expert set. I haven't tried the full support yet. Again, this video is for the hybrid build. So we got 180 million, 192, 186, 207, 223. So let's just say that it's around 200 million damage. So solely in terms of like DPS, it's very low. Even if we use curse set here, I think it's still low. Even at A5, where the second skill damage is pretty much more than doubled in terms of damage output. But in comparison to this one, like for the Alicia's lineup, we got here 1 billion on Mirei and Mamiya with even a 959 million run. So this is standard in my account. Okay, somewhere around 1 billion is the average for my Mirei. That being said, compared to this, then certainly there is an improvement. Plus, we got a damage increase from Gina, which is around 200M, which is way more than what my Choi will be able to deal if he's using the support accessories plus the support armors, because we need that for the team 2 with the standard lineup with Alicia. So now let's check the Alicia runs one by one. The highest I got here was 4.862 billion, which is higher than my highest for the team with Gina. And we also got another, actually we only got one rage count 12 here my very first run, and the rest was 4568. Kind of low. I'm not sure what happened there. Probably RNG, because my Goguni's damage here is very low. My Giant's damage here is very low as well. And for the third run, we got here 4.692. I wonder why my Goguni's damage here was low. Well, I'm certainly using the same gears, but it's probably the RNG here factor. But anyway, here we got 4.6. And this one is close to Rage 12, the 5th run, as well as the 4th run. So, score-wise, on average, I think they're very close. And so here, Chahe-in's damage are still same, 1.6 to 1.7 billion. Mirei's damage around 1 billion to 1.1 billion. Goguni's damage around 800. Let's take a look at Alicia's damage. So my Alicia's damage 637k here. This is actually high for my account. Usually it's just 550 to 600 M. Okay, that's the usual one. You can also see that here we have 568, 544, 560, and 613 million here. So my Libora's damage here is quite high, probably due to the changes I did, and maybe because Alicia is now there, so the shield was kind of maintained for the damage bonus. So what happened here is that my Alicia's damage was scattered in the Gina team setup. Let's say, for example, I have 600M here on Alicia. That's her overall contribution in terms of damage output, and probably a bit more in terms of the buff on Libora. But in the case of Gina, we have here 180 million or somewhere around 200 million damage, plus additional damage on Mirei with the buff, plus the opportunity for Choi to be a DPS, because in this lineup, we actually don't need the V reset anymore, like I mentioned. So I believe overall that's what happened in terms of the damage and contribution distribution here for these team setups. So after doing the test, I got curious because it might have been possible that the MP contribution of Gina to the team might not be the thing that improved Mirei's performance, and maybe that's just because of her buff to the damage dealt or to the attack percent. So I tried Gina without her weapon, and this is what I got. I just changed the weapon here, removed it, and added sauce weapon here just for temporary one, and we got only 1.1 billion on Mirei. So definitely that weapon has an impact, but the impact of that weapon is not just it can provide MP. That's also because if we use that weapon, we will be able to change the accessories of Hansemi into something else. Where I can say for sure that it definitely had an impact to the damage output. So I got curious. I also tested Jinchul as the buffer for Mirei. Mirei has an A4 which increases her damage for every wind unit in the team, as well as Jinchul also carries the grid set as well. And he also provides the shield more consistently compared to everything else because of his first skill. Okay, so what I got here is actually surprising. We got 4.6 billion damage. We still got 1.1 billion on Mirei Amamiya. And we got 230 million on Wu Jinchul, which is almost the same damage output as Gina. But the thing here is my Wu Jinchul is actually shit. Like, the defense is only 18.890, so his damage can probably be improved a lot. And his weapon is also just A1. And his skill level is also just level 7 or so. Nothing beyond level 7. By the way, the Choi is still the DPS. That's why you're seeing the higher damage. But if we close in only on Jinchul's damage and how he buffed Mirei Amamiya, even with that green set plus the wind damage increase on Mirei's A4, it's actually a bit low, but potentially might be due to RNG. The reason why the score is high here is because my chat dealt 1.7 here and my Gogun has 852 per M. So I would have to check on this again, but as far as I know, even before Jinchul's effect with the grid set is not that big. And the reason is because Hansemi will have to use Sylph Blessing, then the rest of the team might suffer because of that. And if Hansemi uses V-Reset, then it's gonna lose the elemental damage increase. Or maybe Jinchul can use 4-piece grid and 4-piece Sylph, but again, that's gonna reduce the crit and crit damage as well. So I'm not sure yet, but it's kind of close. Although I would say maybe, I don't know, maybe Gina will be the better option here in this case. But yeah, of course, still depends on the stats, but very close. The only thing that we can get from here is that this damage that we have here are so close that it's, in my case, okay, it's kind of difficult to know which one's gonna be the best, not until I run them countless of times. But even so, we might not be able to find it because there's gonna be an RNG factor to this as well. And the reason why we need to run this in actual combat is that, like, for example, the fire team is like has a defense penetration, and that might not be as effective in the guild boss because pretty much we're shredding most of the defense already using the debuffs, stacking with Choi, weapon, shadow step, bloodlust, etc. So, and also again, even if Maylin is not with Alicia, she still kind of benefits Alicia with the debuff water damage taken received increase. So to conclude this, I don't have the time to, like, sorry guys, I don't have the time to make a good video anymore because I have to play to give you guys some information, and I'm gonna be using this information as well for my personal use and how I build my character, how I decide things from now on. So I'm just gonna give you my thoughts. Okay, so this is just my thoughts, personal opinion, based on what I know, based on my own experience, and might change as soon as we discover more things, and of course the course as well. So firstly, I don't think the Gina approach will be superior. It will be on par, but that will depend on your team as well. And the reason I said it's highly situational is I'm gonna give you one specific case. So for example, what if your Mirei Amamiya is not that strong, and buffing her with another unit like Gina will be pretty much less or suboptimal. Okay, so that's one case wherein Gina might not work. So in this case, my Mirei Amamiya is very strong as well. In this case, it worked well. So there will be cases as well wherein your Alicia might be too weak. Okay, maybe you don't have enough expert pieces, maybe you don't have enough curse pieces, maybe your Alicia doesn't have the advancements or the skill levels, so that's another thing. And so it gets complicated because of that. And now we have cores. Let's say, for example, we have a core like this, wherein it's specifically for Mirei and Mamiya, because right now the scaling of the characters or the units or their performance will be affected as well by the cores as well as the passives, and it's gonna be very, very tricky right now. And the goal for us, at least for starters, is to be able to find the strongest spots in our lineup and be able to find where our lineup or the available units or the available characters that we have will excel. Right now, the tricky part here is like what I mentioned. For example, if my Mirei is like super duper strong and my Alicia doesn't have the cores, doesn't have the anything yet, then it might be better for my lineup to just push on supporting Mirei with the approach we did, or maybe we can even use Woojin Chul. If you have like a Woojin Chul with a good defense score, like what I have right now, for example, on my Goguni, which is additional depth and critical hit damage, then that's good. Okay, and previously when I posted some things about Charlotte, my Charlotte was definitely on par with my Alicia, and that time I already have a good amount of defense here. My available cores or my available stuff here will favor Charlotte, then I would have to readjust my lineup based off of that as well. What realize here, at least for now, in terms of Gina, she cannot be a DPS that can deal the same amount, like a true DPS like Cha, like Mirei. Definitely not that. She's a hybrid that can deal damage as well as increase the damage of her teammates. So she might be optimal in cases wherein there's a super DPS or two DPSs involved, wherein she can boost their damage as well. But in terms of her making her a true DPS, that's not gonna work, I feel. And also, I think one of the reasons why she probably does not excel here is that, of course, the fire team's damage is questionable right now, and she's more on a utility one with control. And the fire team overall is mostly focused on defense penetration, which again is something that we don't actually need in the guild boss. In POD, yes, you can see like Suyun like destroying the hands super fast, probably in the hunter's mode gonna work, but here in the case of the guild boss, it's not something that we really can take advantage of here. So the only thing that's consistent right now in terms of the support build approach is the light team that's so strong right now. Chahe-in and Gogunhee dealing like insane amount of damage compared to whatever we can build on the other teams. I was able to do good damage, well, on par damage with Chahe-in using Charlotte, but Harper's damage is dog shit compared to Gogunhee. Team B and Team C can be mixed and matched together, and the balance here kind of depends on whatever it is that you have. It gets complicated from here on, so I would recommend just to try it out yourselves and build your own team balance. But I'm gonna rearrange the course as well, so my next video is probably gonna have the course. That's gonna be it for this video. Hope you liked it, hope you learned something. Like it's quite chaotic, it's quite messy. I'm sorry, I really don't have enough time to do some things here, so I just recorded this trailer. But I still do hope that I gave you some insights on, and that might help you decide whether to go pull for Gina or not with the current game content that we have, and also what to do with your lineup and what to test with your lineup.